Max, it begs the question here how so much went unseen.
Shonali, first of all, I just have to say, we've worked together for so long. I think this might be the first time you and I have been on TV together one-on-one, so it's so nice to be here with you. New York Community Bank is a long story and an interesting one. And, you know, there isn't really, it would be so nice to be able to tell you that there's like one guy who made one mistake and it all comes down to that. But it's just really, it's kind of a vivid tale of like, I think you can separate it out in your mind into sort of three different buckets. On the one hand, you have like classic ambition, you know, the theme you and I love to write about when it comes to Wall Street. And you have a small bank that wanted to get big, and then it became a big bank that became really big. And then you have real estate. Here in Manhattan, the story of affordable housing is a story that actually impacts NYCB in a really big way. And then we have another classic theme of Wall Street reporting, which is regulation and regulation, and how the watchdogs who are in some ways in charge of these banks, how laws and the kind of cast of characters, how those shifts really impacts banks and impacts the real world.
Well, one thing that was stunning that everyone saw about New York Community Bank is just how much it grew over an 18-month span, including through acquisitions that the regulators approved. What role did the acquisitions play in the most recent set of troubles?
Yeah, that's right. I want to give a shout out to a Business Week story that's like, I think it might be like 25 years old. I found it while I was doing research for this story. And in this piece, the then CEO, Joe Ficalora of NY Community Bank, brags that they had grown in 3 years from like, I don't know, it was like $2 billion, nothing, into, by then, this is like around 2004, it was like $20 billion. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's not a coincidence. They had a game plan of swallowing rival banks and taking mom and pop deposits and loaning it to Manhattan real estate. And, you know, there was a moment that it seems that regulators may not have approved of them getting bigger. They definitely seem to have faced some kind of regulatory hurdle, and a merger that they were planning on, I think this is like 2012, 2013, around then, didn't go through. You can see that they were frustrated. They wanted to keep getting bigger, and they see Flagstar. Flagstar is a Midwest bank. It's a big mortgage servicer. Originally, it was going to be the FDIC that had to approve that merger, but things changed. The rules are finagled. Instead of being a bank that's regulated by New York State, they say, guess what? We're going to have a national charter. And all of a sudden, it's the OCC that gets to approve that. The OCC does approve it, and then Shonali, when they cross $100 billion in assets, all of a sudden, they've got a lot more rules to deal with, and they're you know, under the curtains, they did not exactly measure up to the new peers in their group.
So really quickly here, we only have about 30 seconds left or so. What do we know about Sandro Danello, the person who's now going to be leading the bank?
Sandro Danello is going to have a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. He was the head of Flagstar, then he came in as the non-executive chairman at NYCB, and now he's the CEO. I spoke with
former bank examiner.
A former bank examiner, great call. I spoke with a shareholder who said, look, I'm glad Sandra's at the wheel here, but, you know, he's going to have to deal with suspicions about the bank's credit. I think Fitch and Moody's now have downgraded it several times. He's going to have to deal with suspicious shareholders who are worried about the bank's controls. Is this a bank that's on top of its risks? And he's going to have to face questions about real estate holdings. Will the bank have to set aside even more money to cover potentially souring loans? I think that a way of thinking about this bank is that there are a lot of question marks hovering over it right now.